Okay, so welcome to Blue Girls Video Podcast. This is going to be the end of Dreams for the end of April 2024 and probably May 2024. So the first one is titled A Tour. I went on a tour and the actress Naomi W., and I put her age there, was ahead of me. Some guy working at the counter showed her a map of the area. Then he pointed to a place where one could store items like a coat or a jacket. I don't know about her, but thought of Canada upon awakening. So, we were on like some kind of tour thing. She went ahead of me, and it could just mean that somebody was ahead of me with the same name. But, you know, in the dream it was a tour, and she was ahead of me, and then there was some place where she could put her stuff. And I don't know why she would have a coat or jacket in April, but I don't know. And I don't know why I thought of Canada upon awakening either. That's kind of strange. Glass shard. An angry African-American guy is at a front desk regional. Then my housing switches. First, I'm at a house with a young man and woman. Then a different house with more people. I got a glass shard stuck in my skin of my right hand. In between the thumb and pointer finger, I pulled out the shard myself, and a doctor came over to check it. Then, for whatever reason, or someone else pulled out the cords to electrical outlets of the house. So I do remember this as angry African man was at the front desk, and he didn't look familiar, but the desk looked familiar, and I ended up someplace where the place used to be a hostel, and I remember because I was there maybe once or twice, and they, like, when you first walk in, there would be a desk right there, and then, you know, a desk area, and then somebody could come up, but I didn't recognize the guy. I just know he was like pissed off. And then I was with a young man and a woman. I don't know, I don't remember them. So what happened in real life? It says I got a shard stuck in the skin of my right hand. Right, okay, so I think it was right here. What happened was, and this happened in real life, in which I think it was this one or this one. No, I think it was the right one. It was this one. Because I was sleeping where there was a bunk bed. And so when I would get up, I was on the top bunk. So when I would grab for the ladder, there was this black thing that that started forming right here, and they had to pull it out. It didn't hurt or anything when they did that, but I just remember that I don't even know what it was, but they had to pull it out. And so it's kind of, this is saying it's a shard. And so whatever, that it was pulled out, and then all the electrical outlets of the house were unplugged for whatever reason. So, okay, so now we're in May 2024. And is your name, I woke remembering a doctor asked me, is your name, I fell back asleep. I was on yet another train. I had dreams of a train to Denver or Chicago. Recall in dreams standing up on train saying, "Yay, this is Chicago." A city saw in dream. How it did not look like Chicago at all, but a city that I have not been to in real life. A strange occurrence in real life. I was being assisted. I was trying to get to Union Station, but ended up at MOA late at night hassle. Next day, took train at Union Station in real life. So now I'm being misdirected somewhere else, not Chicago, a large city. Okay, so is your name, okay, and I completely forgot about this. I actually was visiting an area where, like, if people needed help and they could stay somewhere, and I completely forgot about this. And so there was these people who was waiting for this one guy, and she says, is your name? Forgot what his name was, but I completely forgot about that. And that's and that's how they would help people. You know, they would go and bring them wherever they would bring them, because there was room, and they were homeless or going in for treatment or something. I don't know. But I completely forgot. I haven't been to this area in like 9-10 years, and I completely forgot about it. But I had a dream about it, and I was being guided there. And so then I fell back to sleep. But in the dream, it is your name. It was actually my name that was being called. And it wasn't a doctor, but still. He might have been able to help me get into wherever, I don't know. So then I was on yet another train. I was either going to Denver or Chicago, and then I was like, yay, Chicago. But the thing about that is it didn't look like Chicago. It looked like an area out east, and I could sometimes, well, a good portion of the time in these dreams, I can sense the area. But in this particular time, I knew it was out east, but it was no place that I've ever been to. So I was going out east for whatever reason. It wasn't New York, it wasn't Boston, it was someplace a city I've never been to or visited. And so like later I tried to like go to Chicago or figure out what city this was. Okay. Because I did figure out, I was right about, okay, is your name, whatever, and that was in the Pacific Northwest, and I ended up in the Pacific Northwest, not remembering this. So the next dream is niece talking. The day before Mother's Day, I heard my oldest niece talking, but could not understand what she was saying. Most likely about Grandma, my mom. Having a place to go. I was on my girlfriend's desktop and researched, and I told her that I have a place to go, although it was not revealed to me in dream. So I don't know where that was. Very tall. Okay, whoever that is. The young YouTuber is even more taller in this dream. She had a bucket of barbecue pork. Okay, so I'm just talking about one of the people that I subscribe to or used to. She's tall. Well, she's actually not that tall, but I remember like in real life, kind of shortly after this was May, and so I think it might have happened in June, there was this really tall girl, young woman, who was about 7 to 7.5 feet tall. She was huge. I'm talking like the tallest person I've ever seen. So that was really weird. Size of a Subway. A Subway sandwich had the correct dimensions, but the next measurement, the dimensions were different, 350. So sometimes, like if there's an amount, that could be an accurate amount. 350 might be money owed or money that I'm going to get or whatever. So it sounds like there was a Subway sandwich, and then when it was first measured, the measurements of the sandwich, it was correct, but then the next time it was different dimensions. Well, I'm not for sure what that means. There had to be some kind of change. 2 options. Okay. This dream I like. It's called 2 Options, May 22nd, 2024. I see an unfamiliar desert area, either New Mexico or Arizona. The area is not highly populated. Then I recall a very small, tiny home, like a capsule that was so small that it was difficult to move around inside. I was excited and looking forward to living inside it. Later was with a young woman, and I was questioning her on miles to W, a small city in the Pacific Northwest. I was going to walk, but it was over 50 miles or 50%. I do not know why we wouldn't take some form of transportation. I mentioned was going to lose place, more like voucher, once my mom passed in real life. Mom passed over 2 decades ago. It could be a reference for Mother's Day or her birthday. It was an unfamiliar desert area. It was just like desolate. And the only thing that I could come up with was New Mexico or Arizona. I'm leaning more towards, well, I don't know, because I haven't. New Mexico, I know some of them were small towns, but Arizona, I kind of really don't. But it felt more like New Mexico. So, and then the thing about the small, tiny home, and what happened in real life, and an opportunity came up. And it was kind of like a small little room where you had a refrigerator and whatever, and that didn't pan out, unfortunately. It's not like I didn't want it to pan out, but I couldn't really get down there. And so there was something about 50 miles, 50%. So whatever the situation was, I'd have to pay 50% instead of 30 or 40 or whatever. Long walk is another dream. I was romantically attracted to some older guy who was going to come pick me up in my kitchen, don't have in real life, and myself a woman was sitting at her desk and was going to charge my CC, so I ended up walking a very long distance. During the day, I recall walking up a hill and turned around to see the skyline that I did not recognize. Later, the only city that I could think of was maybe it was LA. So I was with this guy. I don't know who he was in real life. He kind of looks familiar, but I don't really have anybody that I'm attracted to right now, or even during the dream. And so I wasn't for sure if it was him. And he's just kind of, I don't even know him, but I've seen him. So what I saw this woman, and she was sitting at her desk in her office. And she was going to charge my CC, my credit card. And so what happened was on June 15th, around June 15th, and this was May 25th, I had a reduction in my credit. But I don't know what it is about walking a very long distance. I don't know what that's about. And I remember walking with this guy, and he was helping me, and I remember looking back because I was trying to figure out where I was in the dream, and I saw a city, and the only city that I can think of was Los Angeles, although I don't think we were in Los Angeles. We were kind of on the outskirts, and I don't even know. I don't remember an apartment or anything. I just remember walking outside. So the next dream is cabin. A man was moving into a cabin with a wood stove. The previous resident or owner did not clean up the wood stove prior to leaving. He was at the end of his lease and would have to pay the owner some money, which he wasn't too worried about. So I was kind of just looking up cabins and stuff at the time, and I think maybe that's why I was, had this dream. I'm not sure. So the next dream is going to be, okay, so the next dreams is the end of May. Mail sorter. A man and I were standing up watching a mail sorter sort mail. So what I saw in the dream was kind of they were sorting the mail, like a machine was doing it, and they were going here, there, and everywhere. June, cordless old-fashioned phone. Someone was walking around and talking on a cordless old-fashioned phone in her living room. I can vaguely remember this. She was an overweight woman, and she was talking around. She was walking around a cordless phone, one of those old, like, I don't know, maybe the 80s or 90s. So the next dream is Hippie Lady. I don't remember much of this dream now. I saw the back of a hippie lady with gray hair. We were standing by her truck. Also, I see a woman sitting at her desk and was going to get back to her regarding something. Sedona. Okay, so I don't know who this, I never met this hippie lady, but there was this one, like maybe a couple weeks later, there was this, I was in contact with this one woman. I didn't really know her, but her and her husband used to be hippies, although I think they were kind of too young to be hippies, but anyway. And then there was another time, the place that I was staying, there was a woman there that had been in the Southwest, and she mentioned Sedona, and this was like after the dream. And so, but she'd been like, she lived in Arizona before. So anyway, Mexican lady and twins. A Mexican lady had finished her schooling and started working at a medical clinic. She only speaks Spanish, and the medical clinic seems to be really small. Then something about my twin cousins that I haven't seen in a really long time. I see a picture of one of the twins with short hair. However, it doesn't look like her because she had always had long hair in her entire life. Okay, so this Mexican lady, and I do think, I do think that she was working in a small town in Nevada, because that's what I sensed. And she was Mexican, but she finished her schooling and she was working in a small town there. I don't know which one, I just know that's where she was working. And then it was about my twin cousins. So I have twin cousins or whatever, and they're in a different state, but it did not look like my twin cousin in the dream. It was a woman who, she kind of looked like her a little bit, but she had short hair, all one length, and bangs, right? So I've had dreams of that, and I think it might have been a photo. And I have had dreams of that in which there's a photo of someone, a woman that's like me, either looked like me or is in a similar situation. So, and and then after I've had a dream of that, then I am next. Like I'm the next person in line to be helped, kind of thing. Okay, then was at this house all by myself, and my friend who is physically sick is helping me in some way, not sure how. So I don't. Outside, a guy and I got off this one bus. In real life, we're going into the same direction. I had several bags of brand Cortexapi, whatever, as I was exiting the bus. Then there was some kind of security guy outside that he had either a conveyor belt or some plastic containers. I think the security guy would take our stuff and go through it. I was at a different house, but saw my older brother, not sure, kind of looked like him, but it wasn't his house. Okay. So there was this guy that we weren't traveling together, but we were going to the same destination. So what happened in real life was I was going somewhere, and it was just one other guy, this young guy, and I were getting off at the same destination. Okay, so that's not too weird, but it was like we got on the same destination and we got off. And I'm a fan of that brand, and so it sounds like I went and I bought a bag, a backpack from them, which I tried, but it didn't work. I didn't get it or whatever. So then there was this guy, and we were outside. I don't know why this guy was outside. He was some kind of security guy, and I was like, why would a security guy be outside? And he had like this conveyor belt, and he wanted to go through our stuff. So I don't know who this guy was, and it's kind of weird for him to be outside, I think. Waiting list. Okay. There were 3 pink slips, all with people's names. One being my first and last name, then heard a long waiting list. June 18th was told long waiting list over the phone. Okay, so this was to try to get into, I don't know, some place or whatever. And, so anyway, so the next dream is mandatory, and I think I've had similar dreams like this. A young woman and her girlfriend are with an old lady that reminds me of my former landlord in the Southwest. The young woman had to be somewhere mandatory on a daily basis, so one day, for whatever reason, she didn't go. Like me, she was feeling ill. Okay, so this was someone else. This was a younger woman, and she had a boyfriend, I think. But she was supposed to show up somewhere. It was mandatory. She got into some kind of trouble. I don't know what she did. But she had to be somewhere every day. And for whatever reason, she was ill and she didn't go. Which would be kind of like my situation, in which if I'm feeling, because I have been feeling ill, I wouldn't go. So the next dream is removed door. The maintenance man removed the front door. Then a cat was walking on toilet seat with toilet bowl cleaner inside toilet. Okay, so there was, at this time, I was supposed to go look at an apartment, and I didn't do it. I had to like leave that day, or I went somewhere, I remember. And the thing about it is I would have to have a job in order to, to move there, or else I would have to get one shortly. So that's kind of what happened with that. And then I kind of read some of the things about it, and it was okay, but so I don't know if I would have been approved or not. So that's the end of June 2024. So this is the end of this video, and thank you for watching.